Hello, hello, friends. Welcome to our very first AMA of 2025. Woo! So excited. Now, this is a little bit of a different face than you're used to seeing, so hopefully I can do the AMAs justice. We'll see how this goes. New to getting everything set up and all of that, so y'all let me know if y'all see any issues or anything. But I'm so excited because tonight we have a very, very special guest, and that is our dear, dear Lady Prudence.
It's me. I'm the special guest.
Yay!
Hello. Well, I'm so thrilled to get a chance to show off for our friends and fans again, of course, and also super thrilled to get to talk to you
I
because you're
know.
wonderful and you're the wholesome content that I'm here for.
Ah, that is no, you're too much, making me blush. No,
Ooh,
I'm
and
super
I saw a
excited.
notification on Discord that Quad Kevin is trying to find the link. So,
Okay,
so
let
let's see.
me see if I can help everyone out really quickly here. Let me do this. Let's go put this in Discord. See, I'm new. Okay.
There. I think that's
All
going to be
right.
great.
All
Perfect.
right.
That way they'll
Let's
get
try
to
that.
join us. Everyone can watch live, which we know is everyone's favorite thing, so they can mess with
Yes.
us.
So they can be involved and hear all the things.
Exactly. Break the fourth wall.
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
Huzzah. Hello, Kevin. Welcome, dear
Huzzah.
friend. All right.
Wonderful.
So, how is your day going? Oh, wait.
It's
Hold on. We have to start the show with the title, the
yes.
opener. Okay, ready? Let's see. Here we go.
That was so
Yay!
fire. You nailed it. That was
We
must be a
needed a fun one. Yes.
yes.
So now, how is your day going?
It's going great. It's been a beautiful here in Arizona, while every other part of the country apparently is in under snow, including Georgia and North Carolina. Um, yeah, it's I am sleeveless in Arizona at the moment. It's lovely
Wow.
here. We Rennies, of course, chase the nice weather around the country, and so it's beautiful. It was 72 degrees earlier, and yeah, we're having a great time over here. Spend the week getting ready for the weekends, and then this weekend at the Arizona Renaissance Festival is our time travelers weekend, which is always a lot of fun. We get a
That
lot of
is so
a lot of
fun.
doctors and a lot of missed frizzles and
Yes.
wizards of all sorts. So yeah, it ends up being Bills and Ted's.
That's so good. That's hilarious. That does sound like a super fun weekend. I'd love to see what people do.
Absolutely. So I can't
Hi,
wait.
guys.
I like to be.
Thank you.
Yay! Welcome. Oh, and Kevin's gonna come see us in Arizona. What are the best food
Yay.
options at the fair? There's a great Mediterranean place. We have the Transylvanian chimney cakes here, which is one of my new favorite fair foods. So it's a
The
show,
place is
and
called Chimney Cakes, right?
yes, they're
Okay, they
the
come to Ohio, and I tried them for the first time last year, and they were so good.
they're amazing. They're
So
basically
good.
like a pancake batter that is rolled around like giant wooden dowels, and then it's cooked over a fire, and then they add all kinds of toppings like cinnamon sugar or marshmallow cereal topping or like Oreo toppings, and then they're served, and they're just like piping hot, and just delightful. Just
They're
3D
just
waffles.
There was I think this was maybe like their first or second year in Ohio. I don't think they've been here for long. And so they were really trying to like show people and drum up some business because they're new. And so a friend of mine had literally bought one of their chimney cakes and they came up to me and they were like, "Do you want one too?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm fine." Like, I just got finished eating and they were like, "No, no, you have one too. And then we'll take a picture of y'all in your cute outfits with your chimney cakes." And we were like, "Okay, let's
Wow.
go." Like
All right. Bet.
let's have some fun. So somewhere there's
That's
a picture of me with a chimney cake
right. Oh, I
floating
love
around the
it.
internet, I'm sure.
Fabulous. So those are great. We also have the creamy Gouda macaroni and cheese is one of my favorite things. Plus, you can't go wrong with sausage on a stick. Or the best deal at any festival is always going to be the loaded baked potato. So
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
right. Yeah. Then there's
So
the bakeries and the chocolate shops, and one of the London Royal team has a popsicle stand here. So
oh,
yeah, find the popsicle stand. They do all kinds of creative flavors combinations. So, and it's different every weekend. So that's always great too.
that is fabulous. That
Yeah,
actually brings me to my first question, which is what is your go-to fair food whenever you are performing?
fabulous. Well, does drinks count? Because I always like to visit the Cappuccino Inn and
Ooh.
have a chai. Bards love chai. And so as for foods, like I said, the loaded baked potato is one of my go-tos because it's absolutely some of the best value for your dollar. Because most fairs they only charge you about like $6 for a giant loaded baked potato, like covered in butter, sour cream, chives, bacon bits, like that kind of thing. And if you're really lucky, and if you're in good with the kitchen staff, and you can convince somebody to put some of the broccoli cheddar soup on top of that, it's all over. Yeah, it's delicious.
That sounds
But
amazing.
at the Arizona Fair, I also sit. My performance space is within sight of the chocolate shop, and this chocolate shop they have a berries and chocolate um, uh, dish where it's a bowl that they put a bunch of cut up strawberries in, and then they drizzle their chocolate onto, and the chocolate like sets after a few minutes once it cools down. And magic shell is my very favorite thing in the entire world.
Yes.
So basically having strawberries covered with magic shell, like, oh, they're so amazingly good. And
That sounds
at the end of the weekend, they sell two for the price of one. So
that
great.
that's when to do it. That's when you go. That sounds amazing.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, let's see. Let's keep up with fair real quick and ask the question that I feel like everyone probably asks you a lot, but we need it on video. Why did you decide you wanted to be a part of the Ren Fair world? Where did it come
that
from?
that is a that question is going to take minutes to respond to. So while I'm responding to this question, I want to encourage everyone who's in the comments, if you come up with a question, then please go ahead and ask it. Like
Absolutely.
this is an AMA, like for everyone to have to weigh in on, and you all know that I'm an open book. So if you ask me, that I do frequent AMAs on Modern Monday, my personal show on Nat 21, at 8 p.m. Eastern time match. So, but I thought I'd spice things up a bit by inviting you all to ask uh, questions so that we could make this into a What's in Prue's Cup Lady Prudence drinking game. Uh, so that you can ask when you ask a question about me, then and we answer your question, then you get to ask a yes or no question about the drink, just like on Mondays. So
Love
your first
it.
your first clue is that it's non-alcoholic again, because like my gosh, I'm in Arizona and I will be dehydrated for the next 2 years.
It's true.
So
It's
here we
true.
go. Here's a drink to your health.
Sorry, Kara.
Yeah.
I am new to the Patreon thing. I put the link in Discord. Y'all tell me where I'm supposed to put the link, actually. The ones that have been here before, where do I need to put this information to make sure that everybody gets it? Y'all let me know. Okay, Kevin has a question for you.
Ooh.
He says, which DM is your favorite from the NOLA tour?
All right. So just anyone who hasn't been on the NOLA tour, the Destination D&D event, where we take you on a spooky trip through New Orleans, visiting historical places during the day and then gaming about it at night. I have been there since its inception as the emotional support bard. And so the DM choices are,
There it is.
yeah, Paolo Garbanzo himself, um, Judas of Magnolia and Judas, and Dave the Jouster. And so I'm a little biased because the only one who I've actually gamed with, actually, that's not true. I have gamed with Judas before. Ooh, so I've gamed with Judas and I've gamed with Paolo. I've not been in a game that Dave has run. So, but I did see his exclusive sneak peek of his new jousting film about his jousting
It's
company
so
featuring
good.
at the Sherwood Fair and at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival. So, um, but between the two of them, I mean, gosh, I mean, no shade to Judas, but Paolo runs a damn fine game. And and also when I was in Judas's game, he was trying to kill me. So and Paolo usually tries to extend the game for entertainment's sake. So yeah, and as with many things, I find if that there's a performative aspect that I have a lot more fun. And like as fun as it was playing with Judas, it was a personal, it was a closed game like that a few friends and I were participating in. And it was a Call of Cthulhu game, so that's why he was trying to kill us. Uh, but um, but whereas like really, I've never enjoyed D&D so much as when I've gotten to play the games online, like with Paolo, with your husband Nina. Like it's always been super fun. So because it's not just about the roles and it's not just about like, oh, this is, backstory we put into the characters. Like it's also about getting to let loose that performance spirit, like, and do
Getting
stuff.
to interact and
Yes, do stuff
role
that matters,
play and
to other people. Because something that intimidates me about D&D actually is that I don't know all the rules. I don't know all the playbooks, like the handbooks back and forth, like some of my friends do. And I was intimidated early on. My first game was in 2002, if you can believe it. That was when Prue was born. The gnomish bard Kalecki Maraki Delandal Perduga Langalong, who some of you have had the chance to see in action through our all gnome party, all bard party, and a few other games that I've been a part of on the channel. But Prue was first created in 2002 because I was like, I want to be a bard. I want to make up songs and play my recorder from my friends. And then, but like I would get to do that like a little bit each night, but then the rest of the night we'd be like, I don't know, like roll for this and initiative for that. And I was like, I don't really know how to do this very well. So I was like, I guess I stay way back here and I sing Bardic Inspiration. And that was pretty much like all I knew to do. So it wasn't very exciting. I fell asleep most nights because we would go until like 2 or 3 a.m. The most fun
yikes,
part of that was going to get food.
for
So
real.
but getting to play on the channel, like, whatever Paolo cooks up for us, then the folks in the audience get to like mess with us and spend their
That makes
channel
it super
points,
fun.
yeah, to like make it like give us +5 -10 nat 21s and like critical fails, and so nothing happens just kind of like down the middle, like squeaking pie. Everything is super extreme and that's so fun. So yeah.
I love that.
So,
Yeah,
so I guess Kevin, my answer is Paolo. I like gaming with Paolo.
I have not gotten to play a game with Paolo yet.
I highly recommend.
So I
Yeah,
need to
you
make that
usually
happen.
play with Judas, right? At the
We
NOLA.
we were with Judas, yeah, both years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously to me, haven't been with the other two, but Judas, phenomenal DM, does a great, like, always up for the craziest things. And one thing that, because NOLA the first year was like my first time actually sitting down playing an entire campaign through. Otherwise it was like everyone, like we'd have friends that'd be like, want to start a game, and we're like, okay, great, and we do it twice, and then like it would just never happen again. And
Right.
so Judas, the very, very, very first night that we got there and brand new and everything, I hit someone with my ice knife, and which is a, if you went to NOLA, you would know that I used the ice knife a lot the first year. That was what my award was in, was user of the ice knife. But he was like, okay, show me how you did it. And I was like, what? He was like, describe to me how you did, like, perform this action. And I was like, oh, oh. And so that almost got me deeper into it, because then I was thinking more, not even just surface, like going underneath and going, oh, how is this actually work? And then that got me more into it. And so, yeah, like that was a huge thing for me to, for someone to be like, go on, you know? And I'm like, okay. So this year I was ready. I was like, he's going to ask me how it looks. Here's how it looks.
I love that. And well, and that's the other thing too, is like a lot of my early gaming experience was with like min maxers who were like just trying to maximize the points and the experience and their advantage and stuff like in the game. And I was there like coming at it from like an improv background, and I'm like, but but we didn't all just meet randomly in a tavern and decided we trust each other and we just want to travel together and face certain death together. We gotta role play it.
I love that.
Right.
The other people
So
there that don't do that are like,
right, exactly. Like these other nerds are just like, read a book.
read a book.
Oh, read a book.
That's amazing.
Right.
Kevin said, long story short, Paolo.
Okay, so since Kevin asked a question, he gets to ask a yes or no question about the drink, the non-alcoholic Prue drink. What's in Prue's cup? All right.
Non-alcoholic.
And while we're waiting for the chat to ask another question, so you brought up, so it's story time. It's how did Prue get into Renaissance festivals? So okay, how did I decide I wanted to be a part of the Ren Fair world? So it all starts back when little Prue was in elementary school, and her mother was into the SCA. So my parents kind of met through theater and interest in the SCA. Like they went to SCA events, Society for Creative Anachronism, if you're not hip with the lingo. And so like, yeah, they dressed up and they were part of like whatever kingdom Georgia is in, because that's where they were at the time. And so when I was growing up, me and my big sister would be taken to the Georgia Renaissance Festival. And so I remember one of my first experiences at a Renaissance festival was like, I remember pickles, and I remember bubbles, and I remember pickles that tasted like bubbles, and
I
uh,
don't know if those
the
were good or not.
no, it was terrible. And wax hands, because when you make a wax hands, you get to take it home with you. So and like for like the next few months, I was little, but my hand would still fit in my wax hand. I'd be like, I made that at the Renaissance Festival. And then ADHD Prue totally forgot about it for the next few years. And then when I was in college in Atlanta, Georgia, one year, my junior year, a friend of mine said, hey, the Renaissance Festival is happening. We should go. And I was like, oh, I remember that when I was little. So yeah, I dressed in like whatever clothes I had. That was like, okay, here's a swooshy skirt and a blousey shirt and a sarong tied around my waist. Let's go. And so we went to the Renaissance Festival and had a blast as patrons and saw the Lost Boys perform, and went to the pirate auction, because at the pirate ship, the folk, they have like all these like swords and pirate stuff for sale, and so they do an auction at 4 o'clock every day, and so we went to the pirate auction, and I won a sword.
That's awesome.
um, and so then fast forward to the next year, which was my senior year. I was desperately looking for jobs that would use my degree and not having a whole lot of luck. I wanted to be a zookeeper, and I was applying to a bunch of zoos all over the country, and they were not writing back to me. So I was like, I need a job. And then I got a notification. I can't remember even where, like if it was an email or if my friend told me or what, that they were having a job market at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. So I went to the job fair, and who should I
That's
meet?
so awesome.
Right, but who should I meet but the Wax Hands guys? And not only did I remember fondly making wax hands as a child, but also as a hobby, I had taught myself how to dip and carve candles. So
Oh
I could write
my God.
on I could write on my job application that I have experience with wax. And they were like, so you're a college graduate and you have experience and you want a job with
Wow.
here? Like, they're like, okay, you want to be a manager of one of our booths? And I was like, sure. What does that entail? And so then, fresh out of college, I'm managing their make your own candles booth, which is like sand art, but you make it with little wax crystals. And so most people, they just do like layers of color, and then you can like dip a stick down the sides to make like fun shapes and stuff. And I'm very proud of myself because I learned to make like pictures in the side of the wax. I was
That's
really good at it. Like, I wish I
amazing.
had some of the pictures of all of the art that I made, but all of that apropos nothing, because when we were setting up the booth, I remember looking over to like one of the grassy hills on the way down to the joust, and I was seeing what was obviously a fight choreography rehearsal of the local cast. And I was mesmerized because they were throwing each other down the hill and like loudly, speaking their lines and stuff. And so like I was watching, and one of the cast members came close to me, who I later realized was Maid Marian that year, who went on to become the queen. A very
Oh,
good friend of mine now, but at the time she said she was walking past, and I was like, how do you get to do that? And she said, "Oh, well, auditions are usually like late January." So the following year, I kept an eye out for when the auditions were for the Georgia Renaissance Festival, and I went and auditioned actually on my birthday, January 28th of 2006, and they were like, "We're thinking fairy." And I was like, "Oh, you can be a fairy?" And so I was hired to be a fairy at the Georgia Renaissance Festival, which I ended up doing for 9 years. But about 2 years in, I did my first musical act at the Carolina Renaissance Festival. We auditioned an act called the Mad Magical Madrigals, and and that was the first hint that I got that like maybe music at the fairs would be a good thing, because at the Georgia Renaissance Festival anyway, we local cast fairies were not hat passers, so I was getting paid like $40 a day to dress up and put on the show for 10 hours a day.
wow.
Yeah. And I was like, but musicians usually get to pass the hat. And also, if I like, I at the time I was like, well, I can't be a fairy forever, but I could probably age gracefully as a musician. And now I know that that's poppycock. Anybody can be a fairy at any age.
That's
Um,
right.
but that was when I started cooking up like the idea of being a musician at fairs. So I was in a trio, an all woman trio called the Mad Magical Madrigals for one season at CRF, and we didn't renew the following year. But that's about when I was good friends with the queen, who at the time was queen at both festivals, and we loved singing together. And I was like, well, do you think maybe I could be your court composer? Like, and we could sing together. And she was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. At CRF. And so I cooked it up, and I created Lady Prudence, and I made a dress for her. And my stepmother, without knowing that this was at all a possibility, actually that was the year she gifted me a harp for Christmas. And
Oh
while I was
my
cooking up Lady
gosh.
Prudence, and that is the harp that I'm still playing today, like 15 years later.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, so it all kind of came together, And after a couple of years, I felt like I was really finding my voice and finding my place. And my mundane jobs were kind of going, like I was working odd jobs, and like there was a recession going on. I don't know if you remember, but um, so so like things just kind of coalesced at the right time that I was like auditioning at different Renaissance festivals, and so finally I got the contract for the New York Renaissance Fair in 2014, and then that is the beginning of Lady Prudence as a full-time traveling performer.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Oh, and London Fog saying, fun fact, whenever I need a bard but don't have one, she becomes Lady Prudence. Prue is interdimensional. That's what I was going for.
So Kevin has a question about your beverage.
Yes. What was the question? Is the beverage bubbly? No, it is not. Good question. So remember, folks, if you ask a question that ends up getting answered as during our AMA, then you also get to ask a yes or no question about the non-alcoholic drink, and then you can um, uh, put in your guesses. I think we're going with Discord. Do a private message to me in Discord, and then I'll answer you after the screen after the stream, um, and uh, and we'll see if anybody's a winner.
And then London Fog had a question, which was you talked about the sword that you won at the pirate auction. Do you still have that sword?
London Fog, thank you for your excellent question. I used it in at least one production. In fact, that year, that we did a funny thing happened on the way to the forum, or as we liked to abbreviate it, AFTH OTW TTF. That's my favorite joke of the in the whole
That.
world. AFTH OTW TTF, and and so it was super funny because it was a sword with a hand protector, and it had like it looks like a cowboy on the pommel, like it was wearing a cowboy hat, and it had a big mustache. And it was like a short sword, so like it was kind of the perfect length for me because I am a short person. But like so it was only about like 22 inches long, and it came with its own scabbard. But in forum, I can't remember the like warrior guy's name. I can't remember his name. He's the one who says, "Stand back! I take large steps." And so we strapped this sword on his side, but in a much longer sheath, so that could be one of the jokes for this ridiculously like hyper masculine character. Was that at one point when he draws his sword and it ends up being like a teeny tiny little sword that comes out of like a 3 foot long scabbard. So we used that sword in that production, and then a friend of mine used it for a different like pirate purpose, and I told her to keep it because I wasn't ever gonna like use it. It was a very cheaply made piece of work. But that's what
That's
ended up
awesome,
happening with the
though.
sword was I gave it to a friend of mine. So London Fog, you can ask a yes or no question about the drink.
And then Kevin says, "Do harps have a musical lifespan like pianos seem to?"
That undoubtedly the answer is yes. There are still I know some very old harps that are still able to be played, so they certainly need to be kept in the proper climate controlled conditions. Because I mean, as with any instrument, especially those that are made out of wood and tension, they are very sensitive to humidity, heat, cold, and other factors. So, like if it's kept very, very well, and
I'm sure
then
you've had to restring yours from time
they
to
last
time.
longer. Yes, and mine actually is in desperate need of being restrung right now. So, which is something that I should probably do on a Monday so that I can train the strings to stay in tune for the following weekend. Because that's
There you go.
another thing. Like the harp that I play uses nylon strings, and which, if any of you
Oh,
any stringed instruments like a guitar or anything, it takes a little bit of time for to train the strings to get like their excess stretch kind of pulled out so that they settle into their tuning. So yeah, that is a project that's coming up this week. But yeah, like harps, this is a question for Sarah Marie Mullen, one of my dear friends who actually like went to harp school, went to Oberlin Conservatory, and has been playing Celtic harp and great harps for like 30 years now. So she could tell you exactly how old the oldest playable harp is right now.
Wow.
But I'm pretty sure that there's not any that are more than a couple hundred years old that are still playable, because the wood just kind of,
Everything
as
just
with
breaks down. Yeah.
as with any wooden instruments, and like I said, that are under huge amounts of tension, that you're, they have a lifespan. So hopefully my harp will last as long as I need it to. I am kind of terrified of what'll happen if and when mine ever breaks, because then I guess I'll just have to buy a new one.
Have to buy a new one. Is that
Yeah.
the only harp you own?
As a matter of fact, I do own another one that I bought from a friend for a couple $100. So, and according to my friend, the professional harpist, the one who hyper focused on harp, as opposed to me, who like jack of all trades with like harp, guitar, whistle, voice. Um, so, according to my harpist friend, it is not a very good harp. But it is, and it's a true Celtic harp that's like meant to rest
Oh.
on the right shoulder and be played with two hands. Which,
Oh,
one
okay.
tension of my harp, I rest it on my left shoulder, hold it with my left hand, and then strum it with my right hand. So I only play one-handed. So that would be like
Oh.
a whole new skill set for me to learn how to
Yeah.
play this other type of harp. I've practiced on it a little bit, and I've shared like videos over the years, but like I'm mostly sticking to my main instrument because, number one, nobody else plays a harp that looks like mine,
So
and,
true.
and also I don't yet have the skills. Oh my gosh! And so London Fog has asked a question about the drink. Is the drink fruity? No, it is not. And then Clara is asking a question about Sarah. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, Sarah was robbed, and practically all
Is
of
this
her.
your harp friend?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
Sarah Marie Mullen. So, but the situation has been handled, and they've gotten new instruments to replace the ones that they needed to replace. So,
Uh,
um, so yeah, I won't go into too many details. She's a personal friend, so there's more to the story, but that for public purposes, that's pretty much all you need to know, is that they're handling it, and everything's gonna be okay.
that's awful.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Ooh, Kevin's asking, is the drink caffeinated? Yes, it is. Oh,
Oh, doing some caffeine tonight.
indeed. Oh, well, I'm the type of ADHD that caffeine has no effect on me. So,
Same. I just drank some coffee about an hour. I actually didn't know that. I just got diagnosed like less than a year ago, actually. And one of my friends was like, this is the whole thing on why you say that caffeine doesn't affect you. Like, this is what's been going on. And I was like, is that real? Are you for real? And sure enough, like we just always like would joke, me and Justin, like that I just have a very high tolerance for caffeine. And no, no, just a
just
brain thing.
exactly, the reuptake is inhibited. Caffeine with a gun show.
Caffeine with a good show.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Cara, thank you. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel like we're going to see more desperate measures as the next few years play out. So,
I would say
so
so.
yeah.
Kevin, ADHD buddy, friends unite.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Uh, Caffeine just gives me headaches when I don't have it. It does not wake me. I just like the drinks that happen to have caffeine. I get that too.
Heard
I get
London
that
Fog.
too.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Our next question. Let's see, what's a good one? Um, okay, let's do a fun one. If you could perform a duet with any fictional character, who would you choose?
That's an excellent question. Uh, Manali. Do you know that?
Manali. I don't think I
Manali.
do.
So there is an author by the name of Anne McCaffrey who
And I
wrote.
recognize.
Yeah, so she passed away a few years ago, but she wrote many series, many beautiful series. But one of my favorite series of hers was The Dragon Riders of Pern. And
Mm.
in Pern, this planet with the dragons, um, all of the arts and skills are all um, separated out into craft halls. And so you've got like your farmer's hall, your smith hall, and then there's the healers, and then there's the harpers. And there's many more on top of all that, tanners, and all every profession you can think of. There's a craft hall about it, a craft master, and then an apprenticeship style way to go through them. So apprentice, journeyman, master. At any rate, and there are harpers uh, who are not only musicians but also the teachers and the keeper of history and lore and a little bit of civilization. So like they kind of take their role pretty seriously in the world. And so there is a trilogy of books that is called the Harper Hall trilogy that has to do with the character Manali, who when I was growing up, I saw a lot of myself in her. It was great to have
Mm.
that kind of representation of like, so she is written as someone who, like, when at the time when she's growing up on Pern, Pern is a very patriarchal kind of focused society where they've like regressed into like, well, only men can be, apprentices and guild masters and stuff. So like, and women like their places in the domestic duties at the home and stuff. And so there was just a lot of drama in Manali's life about how music is part of her soul, but it was kept from her, and she had a really harsh father and blah blah blah, societal expectations, and so it's all about her journey to get to the point where she's allowed to express herself through music, and she has like an inborn skill, like it's her heart, like she can't help but write songs and hum to herself,
Oh,
like make instruments and like express herself musically. And I was like, yes, I see you.
oh, that's
I see you. I
amazing.
am you. So yeah, so that is the fictional character that I would want to get to sing with, because I think we'd get
That's
along
so
really well.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Kevin asked, what show should he not miss in Arizona on the 15th and 16th?
Ooh, good question. So I always recommend any show that the angels, heroines in disguise are at, that you make sure that you see them. Aggressively feminist content. And
Let's go.
at this show, they are on a stage where they're allowed to be loose cannon all day. So they are never child friendly, and that works out great. And let's see, also the Langers Ball and the Rambling Sailors are always my favorites. This is one of the few shows that I share with the Cirque du Soleil, which is an
Oh,
acrobat with rats and cats. So yeah,
that is
she's
super
phenomenal.
fun.
Yeah, so and she's been featured like on talent competitions, on film all over the world, like the Gong Show and America's Got Talent, and she even like has traveled to Italy and France and I think
Way
to
to go.
Argentina. So yeah, they she is a hot commodity and also just a really stinking cool person. So the Cirque du Soleil, and let's see, what else can you only see here? So also, this is one of the most beautiful mermaid exhibits that you'll ever come across. And then, of course, Twig the Fairies Fairy Friends are here at the Arizona show. Oh, and so Kevin is saying R.I.P. Pagky Meow. That was Melissa's first cat, who was the
Oh,
star of the show until sadly he wound down and he shuffled off this mortal coil. He crossed the Rainbow Bridge last year, so
oh.
we're all gonna miss Pagky Meow. Do you know she's got 2 new kittens now?
There you go. There's
So
a
in
reason to go to
addition,
the show.
yeah, in addition to Schrodinger and Sputnik, she also has pierogi and Glumpki. So
Those
a
are
couple new
great.
to carry the banner. So yeah, so they're wonderful. And Pirouette the Magical Dancer is here. She's wholesome content. Primrose the Fairy, Saffron the Fairy. Although by the time you get here, no, Twig's not going to be back until the weekend after you're here. So, but Twig the Fairy, she only performs 4 weekends out of the year these days. And so, uh, let's
Catch her
see.
when you can.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, and Supernova, the strong woman, is here. So she is really stinking awesome. Like she can do all kinds of crazy human tricks. Like including like bending frying pans and breaking out of shackles, and
My
she can do
gosh.
a handstand on a dragon. It's really awesome. And then of course there's Fire Flicker the dragon here. So you got to come and make sure you see Fire Flicker.
Well, that's fun. I need to make a
Yeah.
trip up to Arizona.
Yes, it's a really cool fair, especially like because it's in the desert, and you do not expect to see Renaissance Festival stuff in a desert.
No,
So that's a really cool feature, you know.
that is really cool.
Yeah.
Which I feel like comes into a really good question, which is, do you have a favorite festival that feels more like home than the others?
I love this question. Oh, London Fog likes my Fire Flicker song. So I'm the one who wrote the Fire Flicker jingle. The Fire Flicker.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's featured on my newest album, Wanderlust.
Wanderlust. I
Yeah.
think if we have it working correctly, it's gonna work. It may not because we're on YouTube and not Twitch.
Ooh, oh, I'm excited about it. So I think it is going through the YouTube and
Yeah, it's going through the YouTube. But
so
just so
looking at
everyone knows.
oh, hey, yeah, you want to here later on when you go back and watch this, you can pause right here
Awesome. But
and do the QR code. Is it showing? Yeah, I bet it's great.
let's
I
see.
feel I feel good about
But we
it.
have well, I thought we might have here Bandcamp.
LadyPrudence.bandcamp.com.
Yeah. I think the set.
Yay! Yay!
There
Putting
you
that 21
go.
10% discount. Yeah.
We'll use that for sure.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah.
but I was just gonna say yes, real quick, London Fog. Yes, I popped this up because this will actually work on Twitch now. Lady Prue has her very own, what are they, commands? I can't remember what they're called now.
Short
So pop that
shortcuts.
up there, shortcut. And her info comes up because she didn't have one and she needed one because she's a huge part of our channel. So she now has one. So y'all use that next time that someoe's live on Twitch just to see, even if
Hell.
it's not her. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Anytime you mention my name, exclamation, Lady Prue.
That's gonna be our new word for it. Bang pass.
Bang pass.
Let's go.
All right. So you were asking, do I have a favorite festival that feels like home more than the others? So anytime someone asks me what my favorite festival is, first of all, I always say, they're my children, darling. I could never choose one. But then the
That's
follow
a
up,
perfect answer.
right? But the follow up to that is whichever festival I'm currently at is my favorite. So, because like it's such an odd lifestyle. Like we spend most of the fairs that I'm at, I'm there for 2 whole months. So like 2 months of like bonding with the local cast and some of the folks, some of the travelers that I like only get to see at one or two festivals. So like really like making sure that I'm honoring that time and like making up making up for lost time. So we spend 2 months in a place and then 10 months away, and then you get 2 months again, and which works really great for the ADHD brain too, because
That's so true.
yeah, because we don't have relationship degradation mechanics in our brains, and so like we see each other and we're like, hey, it's been too long, but like, hey, you want to go to that place that we were saying we should go? And like, so, and every festival, like, there are places in the area that I'm like, ooh, I got to make sure, like, there's a hot springs here in Arizona. There, my favorite dog park is here. It's called Cosmo. And there's a lake.
Oh,
One of my favorite restaurants in the area is called Joe's Farm Grill, where they have like farm to table, um, veg and options, and like such a cool aesthetic, and it's so beautiful. Like when we're here, we chase the nice weather around the country, so it's
mm,
so beautiful to like sit on their back porch and like eat like a portobello sandwich, or like
yeah.
the most amazing chicken and waffles that I've ever had. So so like every festival has beloved traditions that I'm like, ooh, well, we're here, we got to make sure we do this. So, like when I'm at Carolina, I like to visit Asheville at least once while I'm in the area, and I really miss doing the New York Renaissance Fair because that was the only time that I had a chance to go to the Big Apple. And
Yeah.
yeah, like when I'm in Bristol, I like to take some time to like go into Chicago, the Windy City, and
That
um,
is really cool. I've actually never thought about it like that. But yeah, I guess you only get certain chunks. And so then by the time it comes back around, it's new and exciting again because you haven't
yeah.
been. Like, that's such a cool way to look at it, actually.
Yeah, and also by the time the 2 months is up, generally speaking, the weather has gotten like back to the extreme that you don't want to be in. So, like once
And
it
you're
hits
like,
90,
I'm good.
yeah, when in Arizona it gets to be about the mid 90s, and we're like, well, see ya. We're going to go back to Texas where it's still winter, and then you go there, and then you get to experience spring there, and then it starts to get too hot, and you're like, well, see ya. Time to go
That
north.
is amazing.
So
Now
yeah,
we're,
I love all of my festivals. But so I can't answer if I have a favorite festival, but I will say that going back to the Carolina Fair always feels like going home. So so that's the closest thing that I have to a home show right now. Like Georgia was my home show, and the thing about your home show is that you're never going to get paid what you're worth at your home show, because like if they know you as local cast where you may be volunteer or you may work for a small stipend, that it just so it's can be hard to break out of the mentality where, oh, you're local cast, you're one of us, you're like, this is basically glorified community theater, to no, I need to make a living wage.
I
uh,
have to
so but
pay for
yeah,
things.
but but Carolina always feels like a homecoming, and that is my longest running fair. Like I've been there since 2011, so I've
Wow, that's
got
awesome.
some deep roots there. Yeah,
That is
and
really cool.
Kevin is exactly right. Emphasis on the moist at Scarborough. So, but it's a labor of love.
Yes. And I have to like step back here like a few minutes ago, whenever you were talking about college and stuff. So, did you graduate with a degree in zoology?
Actually, no. I graduated with a degree in psychology, which is great
Okay.
because you don't necessarily have to commit to any particular field, because
Correct.
you can practically apply a psychology degree in almost any field. So,
Yep.
but
Totally can.
my focus was in animal behavior. So animal behavior psychology, learning theory, operant conditioning. Those are all things that modern zoos put a high priority on, because that is what is recommended by the AZA, the American Zoo and Aquarium Association. They like to make sure that animals are kept not only under humane conditions but psychologically stimulating ones. So
Wow.
how to provide enrichment for animals in captivity.
That is
Um,
amazing. So you're really living that out with your gothic horror character.
hey,
This
well, listen, and that's always going to be my go-to, because like I insist that I'm actually not a very good actor, but um, but what I am.
disagree.
But the thing is, I found my niche in character acting. So as long like when you're going when we were going through, like, you do 2 months of rehearsal usually before the opening of a Renaissance festival. Um
Wow, okay.
So every year at the Georgia Renaissance Festival, like even though after my first like year I wasn't required to be there as a veteran cast member, I always wanted to be back there. Number one, to see my friends, but also to hone my craft. But something that like a lot of that process really stuck with me. The Georgia Renaissance Festival does a great job in their rehearsal process, and one of the things that they say is that for this type of theater, that um, it's an immersive theater experience. So, and when you're going to be doing a 10-hour day of theater in the round, personalized improvisational performance, that it helps to envision yourself not as putting on a character that you are going to perform throughout the day, but to take off the trappings of your modern persona and reveal the character within.
Oh, I love that.
So, so like remember,
That's
of course,
incredible.
that my first character that I played was a fairy. That was great because like honestly, the things like you go through your life as a kid, especially, and people who don't understand you, like just trying to squash you into a box of normal that you can be like presented to their friends and to the world as a
Because you're
normal,
too much.
right, normal functional human, and then to find my people where I could just like let it go and be this whimsical magical creature. It was formulative.
That is 100% what got me onto the Renaissance Festival. Like Justin always says, like, I did not know that I was going to create a monster, but once he brought me into this place where I could just literally be whoever I wanted, like who I wanted to be, like
Hmm.
it was who I felt like I was, like it, yeah. And then obviously I got a little obsessed or something. Like,
Right. Ooh, I'm seeing some interesting comments too from Kevin and London Fog. So Kevin said, "Do you use your psychology degree to train people like you could do with animals?" So, in a word, yes. But the thing is, that's what communication is. Is and that's what socialization is that you are training the people around you how to behave around yourself while they train you how to behave around them. We are all constantly getting signals that are either positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, which are not the same thing. And so in it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be like violent, and it doesn't have to be like life changing, but every second of every day that you are talking to people who are not you, you are learning more about yourself, and you're learning more about the world and about that particular individual, but also individuals as a whole. That's how our brains work. So yeah, we all are. We're all. I mean, and that is a useful way to think about it too, and to grasp hold of your locus of control, which is another psychological concept where you, in various situations, knowing where the locus of control is helpful for having perspective on that situation. So, and the healthiest way to live your life, like, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not licensed in anything, but I do have some good ideas. So, listen up, and if this works for you, great. And if it doesn't, throw it away. But it's helpful when something good is happening to you to envision an internal locus of control and realize that the things that you did helped to make the good thing happen. And when bad things happen, it helps to be able to visualize an external locus of control and recognize all of the things around you that contributed towards that bad thing happening, knowing that there's only so much that you can do. So, and I'm not saying use like to always foist blame off everywhere else and always accept credit for all good things. There's a healthy balance to be achieved.
absolutely.
Being able to recognize all the influences that are at play that coalesce into the experience that you as an individual are having. So, but also, I will tell you this, that um, positive reinforcement is the best way to get um, consistent desired behaviors. So and all it comes down to is finding the right reinforcer. So for humans, it can be material, it can be food related, or it can be emotional. Like, so why wouldn't you want to positively reinforce the good things that happen to you, like that other people are doing around you? So making sure that you are giving positive reinforcement for the behaviors that you like to see in others. And the other thing about humans is that um, behavior training is most effective when your subject doesn't know it's happening. So, um, because with humans, of course, we have verbal communication. So you can always like enlist the aid of other people around you to be like, hey, I would like it better if you would behave in this way in these circumstances, or in general, like, and instead of manipulating people, like enlisting them, so that generally speaking with humans is probably the healthiest option. Oh yes, in London Fog, you can
However,
fascinate women by providing cheese. That's a you ever see that meme that goes around that sometimes about that is an excerpt from a book, and I can't remember what the title of the book was, but like it was tips for I don't know, seducing a woman. You can fascinate a woman
yes,
by giving her cheese.
yes, I think I have. I feel like people have used that sound like on different things.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't not work.
No, no, I do it to my kids all the time. Either
There you
either
go.
cheese or the behavioral, either the positive reinforcement or cheese, whichever one works that day.
What? Hey, I mean, and cheese is a positive reinforcer, so you are winning.
I
Hashtag winning.
mean, that's all I need. That's what it takes.
I
That's
I do a
yeah.
lot for sure.
Oh, same. It is one of my favorites. I don't know if you saw this one earlier, but London Frog said Brew is proficient in animal handling.
Prue is proficient in animal handling. I worked. Not only did I work for a zoo for a couple of years, I also worked as an assistant vet tech at a veterinary office, and then for about, gosh, was it like 6 years, I worked at Stone Mountain Park and their heritage farmyard. So we had heritage breeds of goats and sheep, and also potbelly pigs in our recreation early 1800s farmyard. So yeah, I'm quite proficient in animal handling.
Well, that is Stone Mountain. That's in Georgia, right?
Correct, Stone Mountain,
Okay.
Georgia. Yeah.
We used to go there then, like all the time whenever we were younger, because I used to live in Georgia, one of the places that we lived as well.
Nice. I love Stone
Yes.
Mountain. And I love the German
It's
restaurant
awesome.
outside the west gate of Stone Mountain.
I'm
So,
sure we've eaten there. We used to go there a bunch. It was so much fun.
yeah.
It was so much fun. All right,
Yeah.
we're getting close to time, so let's pick one more really good question for you to answer first. Does anybody in the comments have a question before I pick one out of the box? And also, did you see this? Is your beverage made from a bean?
Oh, is my beverage made from a bean? Uh, yes.
That should give you something. Okay, so we'll pick out one. Let's see. What is Okay, let's do a little insider on Prue Prue. What is your favorite song that you have written and why?
Thank you. So I have written a number of songs. I, by and large, mostly sing songs that other people have written because I got a lot to say and I don't always have the words for it.
Absolutely.
But so I've written a number of songs. A fairy drinking song, a fairy fornication song that not
Oh,
heard because I used to perform it when I was a fairy, and I haven't been a fairy for a very long time. Well, I haven't performed as a fairy for a very long time. And so I wrote the Fire Flicker song. I wrote Harper's Love, which was on my first album, which is about being in love with a musician, which was inspired by Anne McCaffrey's Pern and the Harpers there.
I
Um,
love it.
wrote a song about a dragon being born. Um, and like I said, the Fire Flicker song, another dragon song. A friend and I wrote the fairy drinking song together. And I wrote the second nerdiest song that I've ever written to the tune of Northwest Passage is about the true hero of the rebellion, Leia Organa. And I'm very proud of that. But yeah, you know what I'm going to say. My favorite song I've written is Bardic Inspiration plus one
Yeah. I
D10.
love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. So I'm so proud of how it came out. And like, as with most things, like in my life anyway, my best work has always been when I felt inspired myself. So, yeah, and I was inspired by a meme that was going around at the time. And like this was in I think 2019, and it was the meme is a very simple one. It's like, hey you, I just hummed a song for you. Now you've got bardic inspiration. Use that D10 wisely or whatever. To use that D10 to help get stuff done. I can't remember how it ends, but anyway, but it specifically mentions a D10, and I was like, huh. I don't actually know a song about bardic inspiration, and I need to change that. And then it just came out.
That is so good. I didn't even know that you wrote that until I think I had even asked this year at NOLA because you sang it again. And right, because yeah, because you sang it the first year too. And so you
Oh
would
yeah,
think, which new to Nat 21 in a whole the first year and stuff as well. But this past year I was like, that is just so good. Like I just, and I think it was Ansa that was like, who wrote that? And I was like, no way, that's incredible. It's such a catchy, good song. I love it.
yay!
So
And I was
that's
so
so fun.
thrilled at NOLA this year when I got to be like, I was like, I'm selling secrets and inspiration, and so y'all can
Yeah.
use your coins to purchase the amount of inspiration that you could afford. So like some people were like, well, I've only got 4 coins left, so I'll take a D4 of inspiration, and some people would be like, hey, I'll take a whole D12, and so I rewrote the chorus so that it would rhyme.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so
So
good.
that was the most fun time I've had in a long time. Was like improvising on the fly, bardic inspiration, so that I could
That
award
was
people different amounts.
that was one of the biggest loves of this past year was the Fay Market interaction. Like
Yeah,
that was just such a fun because you had to you had to play your part and they had to, and you got to fully interact with y'all as your peer. Like, oh, it was so good.
it
That was
was
a great extra thing.
so. Yeah, so I'm very proud of bardic inspiration in particular, and I'm glad that it that it's had a bit of an impact. I'm just trying to put
Yes,
skills out in the world. That's all.
it totally has. You're a wonderful beacon of shining light, my dear.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
You did it. You did it.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, Prue, tell us real quick when you're on, who you are, all the
Yeah.
things. Let me take off this other
So
one.
I am Lady Prudence, Her Majesty's Court composer, but also your emotional support bard. And you can catch me on this channel, twitch.tv/Nat21Adventures for Modern Mondays, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a total request, no rehearsal time extravaganza. And if you
Woohoo!
figured out what I'm drinking tonight, I will ask you to be specific, not about only about what beverage, but what condition the beverage is in. So, if
Ooh.
yeah, so
Remember all of your questions that were
remember
asked and
your clues. And for those of you who aren't so very familiar with me, or who may or may not remember, I produced 2 new albums in this last year in 2024, because I have no chill, and I had 34 songs that I wanted to record, and so I decided to go ahead and produce 2 new albums. So yeah. So find me at ladyprudence.bandcamp.com, or like pause here for
Any
the
pause?
quote. Yeah. But yeah, I produced Songs of Nature, which is called Majestic and Savage. Not all that is gold. Not all that glitters is gold. And Wanderlust. Not all who wander are lost. So, all right, we have a winner.
Love them.
London Fog is a winner. Yay!
Woo!
So let's connect on Discord, London Fog, so we can get your prize too.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging with me for my first AMA. It couldn't have had a more perfect first start to our 2025 first show for our 2025 anyway.
I agree completely. You are a delight, my dear.
Aw, thank you. Thank you. I am talking to the most delightful, so make everybody shine.
Yeah. So in this house, we support each other. Yeah.
We do. Absolutely.
Yay!
Love it. All right, friends. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll keep everyone updated on new Patreon things. We have a lot of fun ideas. I just gotta get them going officially. And yeah, so make sure to look out for all of that, and we'll be back next month with another AMA and some special guests that I need to check in with and make sure they're still good.
Yes. So yeah, you can see me Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Wednesday at 9 p.m.
Woohoo!
Eastern for the Gothic Horror game.
Yes.
I don't know if we're going to be coming to a conclusion or not, but it should be very interesting.
We shall see. All right,
Yeah.
guys, have a wonderful night.
Good
I'll see you
night.
later.
Oh, and remember, we who travel in the service of the Queen never say goodbye. Goodbye is too final. Instead, we say, merry meet, and merry part, and merry meet again.